Hello, friends, and welcome back to our homestead. Summertime on our homestead means that there's ton and ton of canning going on. And that's exactly what I've been doing as well. We harvested a big blessing of blueberries from our bushes. We preserved it by freeze drying. We preserved them through the freeze drying process, and they'll be shelf stable for a very long time. I also froze some so we can throw it in smoothies, that sort of thing. Quick kind of like addition to the yogurt. But there's nothing like homemade jams. And homemade jams, you can control what ingredients go into it and how do you prepare it and how much sugar you use, right? Now, I have a video about how to preserve blueberries in the raw form, shelf stable in a cool place. I posted that video a couple of years ago. I don't exactly remember when, but I will link it up in case you're interested finding out how to do that. And that recipe called for so much sugar. And people were writing to me saying, Lilia, this is so unhealthy. No kidding. I agree with you. It's a crazy amount of sugar in that recipe. But see, the sugar in that recipe is to preserve the fresh berry itself. Okay. There was no cooking involved, remember? And how is it going to stay shelf stable without going bad in your basement shelf or in your refrigerator, right? We want it to last through the year. For us, it lasted about 6 months, and then we use it through the winter months. And of course, you didn't eat a lot of it. You would have a teaspoon of it, right? But it had a lot of sugar, and it had lots and lots of sugar. But today, my friends, I made a beautiful batch of blueberry jam with just two ingredients. One, blueberry, two, sugar, and not even that much. So this process took 2 days to make it. It's very simple. No fuss about it. The only little catch is that it takes 2 days. There's been no pectin added, no lemon juice, nothing, absolutely nothing. And it comes out delicious, sweet enough, and nice and thick. See, growing up in the Russian Slavic culture, all of our jams were made in a ratio of, you ready for this? 1 kilogram or 1 kilo of berry to 1 kilo of sugar. Always been 1 to 1, always. That's what I always remember being used. And I remember how sweet those jams were. It's crazy sweet. But, since we didn't have many other sweets, that was our dessert. Mama would make tea, and she would put a small little glass dish, where the jam was, and you would take a little spoon, you would put it on your bread a little bit or on your cracker, and you would drink it with tea. That's how we used jams back in the day. But today I've learned that yes, I don't have to put that much sugar, and I created this recipe specifically with that in mind. So this is a beautiful jam. Let me tell you how I made it. The process begins with weighing everything. It's not measured by cups, it's weighed and measured by weight. So I'm gonna first weigh my blueberries, making sure that I know how much I have total. And yeah, making a mess, of course, but it's okay. So I'm gonna measure out how much I have of blueberries total from our harvest before I measure out the sugar, because it is important to know that I have the proper ratio. The second thing I'm going to be weighing is the sugar. How much sugar? Well, based on how many blueberries I have, I will do full weight of blueberries and half weight of sugar. So I had 7 pounds of blueberries, and I'm doing 3.5 pounds of sugar. I know it sounds like a lot, but trust me, that is not as much as the traditional jam's amount of sugar. So this is basically 1 to half, 1 part of fresh berry to a half part of sugar. And I'm using cane sugar, not beet sugar, but you can use any sugar you want. All I know that it has to be regular white sugar. Mix everything together. I'm going to mix all of these berries very well together because I'm going to allow the process of osmosis to take place.
these berries should give out some of its juice to the sugar. So I'm gonna mix it all together and I'm gonna give it a cover. I'm gonna let it rest for a few hours. How many hours? Well, it can be as little as 5 hours or all the way overnight. It really doesn't matter. For me, it only sat on my counter for about 5-6 hours resting, doing its thing before I went to the next step. Give it a cover because I don't want anything to accidentally crawl in, little buggers. All right, so I've noticed that after 6 hours on the counter, it really didn't give out that much juice. So I decided to use a blender to break up probably 1/3 of it because I need some liquid for the cooking process because I'm not adding any water. Okay, the step 1 of cooking is here, and I'm just throwing everything in a large, wide bowl because I like to use a wide vessel for cooking. It allows more evaporation to take place because, my friends, as I mentioned, there is no pectin in this recipe, only berries and sugar. Because I did not add any water in here, I have enough liquid. These berries made enough juice. I broke up some of them, so let's start cooking. Oh, and here is that fluffy foam forming on top. I love it. I am not skimming that off. I'm leaving it right where it is because, my friends, that is the natural process of pectin making, and I'm not adding any powder. This is it. I'm going to allow it to gently cook together, stirring it once in a while until it comes to a boil. There we go, my friends. The boiling is here. I really cannot leave the kitchen now. I have to stay put really close because if I don't watch it, it can overboil accidentally. That has happened to me in the past. And it's going to be a mess, sticky mess on your stove. All right, so I'm just going to watch this and I'm going to boil this for 10 minutes. That's all, only 10 minutes boiling. Turn the heat down, Mama Lil. Way too high of a heat. So I'm going to turn down the heat and I'm going to cook this, making sure that it cooks for 10 minutes. Now, this is not the final step of cooking. No, this is the first step of cooking. Like I said, it's time consuming, but it's super easy process. Okay, 10 minutes is up. I'm going to turn off the heat and now I'm going to allow it to completely rest and cool off. The next day is starting by prepping my jars and my lids and my rings. I love to use canning lids by ForJars. I find them to be one of the best, if not the best, in my opinion, quality of lids. I use this company. They are American made, they're American owned, family owned company. They know quality. And let me tell you, all of my canning has been done only with this product. It lasts a very long time. So I follow the directions, how they tell me to prepare the lids. According to the instructions, it's time to cook this jam for the second time. It's the next day. It's completely cooled off. It got much thicker, but trust me, it's going to be even thicker when it's time for jarring. Okay, so I'm going to turn the heat on. I'm going to allow it to come to a boil. Because it is cold, it was sitting in a cold place, it's going to take some time. In the meantime, I need to prepare the jars. The lids are being prepared and now the jars. I use pints. I like pints to be used for jam, little cute little jars. It's perfect for our family. I'm going to, they've already been washed in soap and water, but I'm going to just sanitize them, disinfect them in the boiling water. It's the same water as I'm going to be using for water bath canning. I'm going to disinfect them for 10 minutes. So everything will be ready. By the time the jam is ready, all my jars and lids are ready too. Okay, I am beginning to see little bubbles on the edges. It's not boiling yet. It's not time to start a timer yet. I need to allow this jam to completely warm up and come to a boil before I set the timer. I'm going to stir this once in a while because remember, this is thick right now and I don't want anything to stick to the bottom of the pan. It needs a little bit of time to come to a boil. All right, I'm beginning to see some boiling here and there. I'm waiting for this to all to come to a boil before I set the timer. It's a very easy process. Very easy process. I boiled it for 10 minutes yesterday. I cooled it off overnight. And now I'm going to boil it again only for 10 minutes. not long at all. So I'm gonna set the timer actually for 10 minutes to completely boil again the second time. And believe you me, see how it's liquefied right now because it's warmed up, but it's gonna get nice and thick and delicious. All right, so it's boiling, set the timer for 10 minutes. That's all. It's a very quick process. In the meantime, my jars are getting ready, my lids are getting ready. Follow the directions on the box. You know, if you watched me before, you know my method. I check my jam to see if it's ready, if it's thick enough. By this little trick that I've learned a long time ago, you take a plate, stick it in the fridge, actually freezer, for a few minutes until it's nice and frozen. And then I put a small amount of jam on it. Make sure it's distributed and completely cooled off. Run your finger through it. And if it doesn't run back together, guess what? The jam is ready. The jam is ready. So I'm just going to check my timer. I think I have like less than a minute left. Yep, look at that. I have 43 seconds left. I'm going to let this finish up, fully cook for 10 minutes. That's all. It does not take 2.5 hours. Not at all. And it's ready for jarring. All right. So I am using everything hot and sterile. If I am pouring hot liquid, those jars have to be hot. I just took them out of the disinfecting boiling water, and I am carefully filling them up about 1/2 inch to the top. That's called the head space. So I'm gonna fill them all up quickly because we don't want this to cool off. We just took them out of the stove. The cans are hot, the lids are hot, everything is hot, and everything is disinfected. And now, my friends, I'm just filling up these beautiful jars. It smells like my mama's kitchen. Childhood memories are coming back. It's such a delicious process. I can't describe it. It's so satisfying. And then in the middle of the winter, you open that jar, delicious. All right, so I need to fill up all these jars. I'm prepared way too many jars as always, but I would rather have extra than not enough. So from 7 pounds of berries and 3.5 pounds of sugar, I only got 9 pints of jam. I was expecting more, but the liquid evaporated during the cooking process, so it's quite normal. All right, so let me fill them all up. As always, I take a little paper towel, I moisten it a little bit, and I run on the edges to remove any kind of jam that might be on it, because we want to make a good seal. If any sugar or jam left on the sides, that can potentially not allow for the good seal. And now I'm going to be using my good quality 4-jar lids. They have regular size and they have wide size. So I'm using both, depends on the jar. And it is a very easy process. You drop on the top and that's all. They're nice and hot. I use little tools to help me. That's a little magnet that I use because it helps me to pull them out of the hot liquid, really, because they were sitting in a hot liquid right now. Making jams is easy, and water bath canning is such an easy process. It's the basic way of preserving food, just like our ancestors did, and they've done it for a very long time. I remember eating jams as a way of preservation of fresh berries. So now I'm just adding the lids. The lids have to be finger tight, meaning that they're not overly tight, not with the machine. I'm just tightening them to the finger, and that's it. I'm just making sure that all of them are tight, not super tight. That's very important to know, because during the process of water bath, the air might be coming out of it as well. So I'm just loosely but finger tight applying all of the lids. And next thing, it's going into the water bath canner. The water is boiling. Remember, a very important part of safety: hot jars go into hot liquid. If I put a cold jar right now into this boiling liquid, it will crack, it will break, and it will be a mess, and you will lose everything. So I'm just putting them all into the water bath canner, and it's important that all of them get covered with boiling water. So there should be about 1 inch on top of each lid with boiling water. It's part of the water bath canning process. So I don't have enough liquid, so I had some hot water in my tea kettle. So I'm just adding enough to the top to make sure they all covered. And now the processing is 10 minutes.
Of course, we need to give it a taste. I don't have much left. This is what I scraped from the bottom of the pot. Really, there was not much left at all. Everything ended up in jars. So let's give it a taste anyway, because it's still not very cold because I just did the jarring, so it's not very cold, but it's already nice and thick. No pectin needed whatsoever, trust me. Oh my goodness. It's fantastic. Oh my goodness, it's so good. I can taste the freshness because this was not cooked 2.5 hours. Not at all. Not at all, my friends. So good. So good. I can eat this by spoonfuls. On this note, friends, I hope you're encouraged to make jams for your family as well. This is not that much sugar. Yes, there's still some sugar in it, but what jam doesn't have it, right? But very clean ingredients and very little ingredients. So I encourage you guys to make your own jams for your family. Put them away and enjoy them all year round. On this note, friends, I hope you are encouraged and try something new.